Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. These are both Fox Radius models. One less expensive variant and one pretty substantially more expensive variant. These knives are available right now, but they're in limited supply, so there's not like every different color and every different type available. But I'll let you guys check the links down below if you're interested in checking these out. Thank you so much to The Knife Eclectic on Instagram, and also, let me try and get this shared with you guys. It's going to be Spider Knives EDC on Instagram for sending these knives in. Figured I'd do them both at the same time since there's the same knife. It's because of people like them that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. Thanks for supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, let's go ahead and move one of these out of the way. They are dimensionally the same. It's just when it comes to materials, they're different. We'll go ahead and measure this guy. Overall length of the Fox Radius, which by the way has been out for a while now. 7¼ inches overall, and to my surprise, a sub 3-inch blade, about a 2.85-inch blade. Cutting edge, I don't know, 2.8, something like that. Little tiny sharpening tool there. How about some size comparisons? Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2. While the Fox Radius definitely has more presence than the Rat 2, it is definitely almost exactly the same in terms of overall length. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? Definitely closer to the Spyderco Para 3. It is just a little bit shorter, but it's got more cutting edge. How about, last but not least, let's do the Benchmade Group Tillionaire, in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and its little brother, well, in this case, it's not actual little brother, right, but it's the smaller size comparison in this group, and that's the Benchmade Bug Out. The Bug Out coming in slightly longer than the Fox Radius. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Close this guy up here, give you guys an example of how that works. Pretty cool, we'll talk about that. Thickness, yeah, it's kind of thick, not horribly thick, but it's definitely thicker than the Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here, body-wise, it's about the same length as the Para 3, definitely shorter than the PM2, nowhere near as tall, so it's just a little bit thicker. On the inside of this guy, and oh good, I used my flashlight the other day, and I couldn't remember if I actually brought it back down here. I will take a look. This guy is just solid titanium on the inside, no milling or anything like that. There is a little line here, and I believe that's just a steel insert, probably that runs up to the pivot as a track for the bearings to run on. I'm not sure why. The reason I think that is because the same line is present on the G10 one, and that's a little steel insert there, or what do we call that? A countersunk little steel liner. I wonder if the magnet, yeah, the magnet is attracted to this, and it's not because this is steel, it's because what's underneath is steel. I don't know why they ran it all the way through and not just around here, but okay, it really doesn't matter all that much. How about weight? So let's go ahead and weigh these guys. Got my scale here, which is way over here today. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize how far away it was. Okay. This guy, G10 and N690 steel. This guy, titanium and N690 steel. Both of them having steel countersunk liners or recessed liners. The titanium guy coming in at 4.94 ounces. This is about what I expected. The G10 guy coming in at 3.77 ounces. Ratios are not perfect. One of them is substantially heavier than the other, but neither are outside of the realm of what I consider to be normal. Probably not, either of them, probably not knives you're going to want to wear in athletic shorts, but, you know, use your best judgment, go with your own preferences, wear your own pants, all that stuff, and it'll probably work out okay. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description in the section that talks about my tools. Is the pivot a T10? It almost looks like it's a T10. Let's check. Maybe not. Nope. It's going to be a T8, unless it's one of these weird guys and is actually a T9. Of the however many hundreds of knives I've reviewed, every now and then I get a T9. It's super weird. Okay, T8 on the pivots, right? Back here, you can see that it's captive. That's nice. The rest of these screws, except for the pocket clip screw on this guy, these are all T6, right? The pocket clip screw on this guy is a T8. On this guy, there is no pocket clip screw on the outside because it's going to be hidden on the inside, and I would venture to guess it is also T6. So you're looking at a combination of T6 and T8 hardware, pretty minimal. I'd like to say I don't think it's going to be too difficult to take apart, and it's probably not, but you're going to have to work around this, which is sort of this plunge cylindrical thing. And I don't know. I still don't really think it's going to be that horribly difficult, but I am sure Nick Shabazz has a wonderful disassembly video on this knife, and I'll let you guys check that out if you want to. As far as the hardware goes, you're not looking at anything overly complicated, so that's what I'll say there. All right, did we do... Oh, we need to do blade stock thickness. Let's go ahead and do that. As far as I can tell, the blade stocks on these guys are identical, so we will just be measuring one. And we're going to do this guy here. Blade stock thickness is coming in at, wow, 155 thousandths. That's thicker than I would have expected and probably thicker than it needs to be, but okay, that's what it is, right? Blade grind suggests that it might be a little thinner at the edge. Yeah, in fact, it is a little thinner than you might expect. So there you go. Okay, so real quick here, I'm just going to let you guys know. This guy, the G10 and N690, right? Another Bowler steel that is much less premium. Still a good steel, but at this price range, right? This is a $165 knife right here. This guy is about $415, $420, something like that. Titanium and M390, great. That's a combination that we see in that price range. Yeah, we'll talk about that one a little more. This guy in N690 and G10, I was kind of like, just make it S35VN or something like that, right? S35VN and G10, it would have been a lot easier to choke that down. I really don't want to see N690. Me personally, I don't want to see it on anything over about $100. Now that's just me. Why do I feel that way? I don't know. It's like we shouldn't necessarily put potential edge retention on that high of a pedestal. However, as you climb in price, for whatever reason, it is a little bit more satisfactory as a buyer to, have a steel that has at least a little bit more emphasis on edge retention, right? N690 is, it's got some decent attributes, especially considering corrosion resistance. That's a great one, right? Toughness is all right. It's definitely easy to sharpen. Edge retention is meh. But, that's why I kind of feel like it belongs in the same territory as your VG10s and your AUS 10s and stuff like that's kind of where I put that, Pretty much everything else that you're getting in the $165 territory will vastly outshine this thing in terms of edge retention. And again, that is not the end-all be-all. Some people might like the balance of attributes that comes with N690 and specifically want it on this unique package, but I was kind of like, So that's my idea on value right there. Let's talk about this interesting 7 minutes in. Let's talk about this thing. I know people are telling me like every day, there's another mechanism out there that's just like that. That's, made by whoever. I can't remember who it is. Maybe it is a similar mechanism. My guess is that it operates slightly differently. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, right? Maybe there was a patent on the thing that the other company made and the patent got lifted, right? It's kind of like what happened between Benchmade's Axis lock and then other locks like the Hogue Able lock, right? So before we start shouting about that, just remember that type of stuff happens in the knife world all the time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody stole anything from anybody else. But I don't know the factual history on that, so I just wanted to let you guys know. Is this easy to open and close? Yes, and it's actually kind of satisfying to do. You can flick it, but you kind of... So, like, in this position, it's locked, right? You have to depress that to get it to go. So, once it's depressed, you can kind of flick it if you catch it exactly right, right? Just like that. And then you can kind of wheel it closed, or you can disengage it, turn it sideways, and just have it shake shut like that. So once you get the timing down, it's pretty cool. It's also fun to just kind of wheel in and out. I mean, it's different. I think that's why it's so satisfying. It just operates a little differently. The titanium one does feel a little bit... It just feels better because it's titanium. Everything feels a little bit more solid, right? Everything feels just a little bit better. And I'll be honest with you, the lockout on the titanium one is absolutely solid, while this guy has a little bit of side to side and a little bit of up and down. This guy has nothing. This guy is locked into place, absolutely, unless... See if I lock it out like that. Does it change? No, it's still good. So the titanium one does feel a little bit better. And by the way, the closed position of this is nice. Nice little detent, but doesn't necessarily function. It's the lock, right? If you watch here, See how it pops out like that? That's what's happening. So it's not a detent. It's just locking the blade in the closed position. It feels good, and it's very smooth, very glassy. Not quite drop shut, but gosh, it's close. It's real close. These are nice. I mean, if you're just set out to find a different means of operation than you're used to, right? People yelling, "It's not new! Oh, I need people to know!" Okay. All right. A different means of operation than the vast majority of people are used to, right? I think we can all agree this is not a common means of operating your knife. This might do it for you, right? Some things that I don't like. I do not like knives that are 3-finger position knives, right? Yeah, you can choke up here a little bit, but these humps, that's not a comfortable place to put your hand. Like, I mean, it's not terrible. It's just, give me a choil. Or even like this is more a finger. This is just like a big bump, right? So yeah, you can hold it like this, but it's not super duper comfortable. In the primary position, right, where it's meant to fit ergonomically with the hand, you're a long ways from the edge and your pinky's going to be slipping off the end. This area right here, I think, should have just been something different. But it gives it that whole rounded radius look, right? And you have it like that, so I don't know. Ergonomically, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I want it to function like this, and I also want it to be ergonomically comfortable so I can choke up right behind the edge, right? In this position, you can, but you're literally on a slope that is pushing you towards the edge of the knife. So you really have to be cognizant of where you are, whether you're wearing gloves or not, as far as where your finger is, because you could easily slide up on the blade. And I just don't like locking in with 3 fingers, right? I mean, if it's a teeny tiny little thing, okay. But on a knife this size, that's roughly just a 1/4 inch shorter than I mean, we're talking about same size, just about. In fact, the Rat 2 is shorter. Full grip, no problem, right? Just barely, but yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. The aesthetic, though, is nice, especially on the titanium. I love this. There's beautiful milling on this guy. I love the contrast between the bronze and the titanium. This is real nice. The blue, the G10 also looks good. In fact, I'll tell you this. Fit and finish all the way around is really good. Other than this guy's got a little tiny, and now, nope, it's still going. It's just the tiniest little bit. I mean, it's just barely registering. So your experience may vary. Where are these made, by the way? They're made in Italy. Your experience may vary. Maybe, I don't know why the tolerances or the lockup would always be better on the titanium ones versus the G10 ones. I have no idea. What are they running on, by the way? They're running on bearings. They're absolutely 100% running on bearings. I was looking for myself to make sure they're... I don't know why the lockup would consistently be better on the titanium ones versus the G10 ones. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just a variance. Maybe you order a titanium one and yours has a little bit of lockup wiggle, and you also order a G10 one and that one's solid. I have no idea. That's just the case that's going on here. The grind on these looks pretty good. In fact, the blade is real nice. There's a nice polish on this. This is a satin finished blade, but it's done better. It looks better, and the spine looks better. I mean, like than the typical sharp edges that we get with knives like this. On this guy, it's just like it's like a black washed blade, and it's okay. But the way that they did this is real nice, and this is nice and polished. Everything is just overly polished to the point where it really looks great. This is so ridiculously rounded off. There's no hint of a sharp corner on this guy. And then, obviously the only part that is sharp is down here at the edge. Now, the edge is not unbelievably razor sharp. It does feel like it wants to kind of approach the idea of becoming thin, and then it just really doesn't. In fact, it really doesn't feel... Neither of these feel very sharp at all. I don't want to say they feel dull, because they will still cut. In fact, I can probably demonstrate that pretty easily. Right? A lot of people confuse if you're new to this, right, and you see a reviewer going, it's dull, all right, like you can touch it, but then you can also turn around and still easily slice paper. So don't let those people throw you off. It's not like you're gonna be like, oh, I can't get through my day because it's so dull. No, it's gonna cut. What they're saying is, oh no, I can't shave a grape with it, right? I can't, see the fibers exploding off of a piece of wax paper, right? Or split a hair into 3 separate parts. So, will it cut and get you through your day? Yeah. Is it going to drag a little bit versus somebody who's got like a mirror-edged Opinel, well, yeah, you know, it just depends on how particular you are with your final edge geometry. And, you know, a knife can feel dull to the touch and still easily slice through things, right? Because it's just a wedge, a varying wedge. And obviously that apex and how well it's done definitely matters. But just to let you know, yeah, I mean, it's obviously demonstrated just what I was talking about. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't feel incredibly sharp. It is, though. And it also feels a bit thicker than you might expect, especially considering the grind is fairly high and there's a flat that carries out about 50% there. But yeah, anyways, everything looks nice and consistent and good, and everything looks like it goes together. On this guy, we got the little backspacer back here. This is nice, right? Comes out to it's G10. I mean, you could, you know, whatever you're going to do with that. Has a wire clip that is, unfortunately, the screw behind it is being prioritized over the wire clip. That's not really that big of a deal. There's a little bit of extra knife sticking up out of the pocket, but it's not shallow carry. The wire clip itself is really good. This is a right-handed only knife, and probably, I mean, it'd be weird operating this with the left hand, at least operating it safely. You can do it. Can you do the reverse flick? Honestly, I'm not even going to try because I'm going to throw it or hurt myself. I don't want to do that. So wire clip is all right. On this guy, it's got a different pocket clip. This is, as far as I know, I actually didn't test it. Yeah, this is a titanium clip, and it'll match the, you know, like I said, there's different titanium versions of this knife, and the anodizing will match all the way around. Titanium backspacer. This guy definitely carries more shallow because of the style of clip. That's a lot of unnecessary knife sticking up out of the pocket, right? It's just, why does that screw have to be there? Just somewhere else and move the clip up, right? I understand shallow carry is really good for, you know, tactical stuff. I'm not doing that. I just don't want a lot of knives sticking up out of my pocket, right? But you might not care. So just, you do with that information what you will. Both of these will slide over the pocket easily, considering the surface they're writing on and the style of clips that they are. This one, the titanium one, while it does provide for a less than pleasurable carry experience for me, or let's be honest, just like some guy just being super nitpicky, right? It's a little less hot spotty. This one, the wire clip, it's still just fine. It's just, I can feel it a little bit more, just to, you know, be honest about that. Centering on this guy, spot on. How about the G10 version? Also spot on. Okay, so nitpicks, it's a little thicker behind the edge than you might expect, and it doesn't feel sharp, but it is. The mechanism for deploying it is, it's fun. It's a little bit awkward, right? It might just be more of a gimmicky thing than an actual, like, oh, there's an advantage to it, right? But it's fine. I mean, that's a lot of the knife world is like that. Ergonomically, I do not like putting my hands into the positions that were meant for my hands to put them in, like right here, the index finger position, and having my pinky slip off the edge. I just don't like that. I hate that this screw back here is being prioritized over the pocket clip on the titanium one. This guy's okay. I just wish they had put it in a different place. This guy's not completely and totally solid on lockout. However, when we talk about blade play, especially up and down play, the only time that that's really a problem is when you're working with a lock that depends on proper geometry, like a liner lock or a frame lock. Because then the slippage or the rock indicates that the lock could slip and close on your hand. However, because of the nature of these plunge locks, it's not likely. It's just like a spacing or a machining issue. So it's probably not any more likely to disengage than one that feels completely and totally solid. However, I'm not a machinist or a knife maker. That's just my guess, right? So it's kind of frustrating. I want knives to lock out solid. I don't want any knife to be wiggly or wobbly. It sucks, right? Tightening the pivot will not solve that issue on this guy, especially when we have up and down play. But fit and finish all the way around is pretty good other than that. This guy at $165, it's not that I want this knife to cost less money. I want them to change the blade steel. I think this should have been like S35 yen or something like that. But then again, this was like the, what was it? Import of the year or something like that 2 years ago. Maybe N690 was a lot cooler back then. I don't know. Continuing on with these, I think the cheaper one should be S35 yen. That would make more sense to me. The titanium one is really nice and looks good. It's definitely the nicest version of this knife, and it's really impressive, all the polishings and things like that. However, do I put it in the same category as something like a Hinderer XM18, a Chris Reeve Sebenza, some of the nice Riot stuff, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's not necessarily like I mean, there's not a lot to complain about when it comes to the overall quality of that thing, right? It's just like is it really up there for me? There are plenty of knives that exhibit similar quality with, you know, similar, like country of origin manufacturing costs, you know, and they're a little bit less. I think this would have made a lot more sense at $350 to $375. So as you go higher in price, right, the amount that it's over that, it becomes less and less offensive, right, because it's percentage. That's how I look at it anyway. So it's not outrageously priced. You just really have to want specifically this, right? So for me, it's like, hey, do you want a titanium Fox Radius or do you want a brand new Hinderer XM18? Somebody asking me that, they wouldn't even get to the end of the sentence before I was like, give me the Hinderer, right? But if you love the Fox Radius, you are getting premium materials with this guy. You're getting smooth action, solid lockup. If you can work around some of the corks, you might really like this. But I mean, like at $350, I'd be like, that seems about right? But maybe I'm biased because there's other knives that I like more that I would pay more money for. Do I openly recommend either of these? Not to the vast majority of people, right? This is a very specific kind of, you really gotta want this. I think if you go for it, you're going to be, for the most part, pleased. It's a good knife, and it's definitely going to function. I mean, if you want to, if it comes down to just like, is it a functional tool? If I spend money on this, am I going to be happy and satisfied with this thing being, you know, in my pocket for years and years and years? Yeah, it's going to work. But outside of just wanting it for the weirdness and the different style of lock and operational mechanism, to add some unnecessary syllables to that, there's not really much reason to pick this up. It's not like, oh my gosh, outstanding design. It's just like hey, the thing is different. The lock and the button's different. Other than that, it's, you know, materials we've seen before, fit and finish we've seen before, and it's just, especially the titanium one, is just a bit high on the price. Well, this guy is too for the materials it's using, but I just want different materials. So yeah, these are cool. I mean, they're good enough. There's nothing here that's blowing me away. I've been wanting to look at these for well over a year now. I'm glad that I did. They're neat. If you really, really like this, well, guess what? I've got a link right down there for you to use. And when you use that link, it benefits my channel. But really, if you want to know what I think, it's okay. It's kind of a C. It's kind of a C- of a knife, right? I think there's cooler stuff out there, especially if you're going to drop over $400. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. So that's what I think. I think that's going to be pretty much it for my review today. Thank you so much to the people who sent these in for review. I really appreciate that. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.